Hello, I'm calling in from Arizona. I had a question for you guys about protesting. So I asked this for the after show for the people who enjoy that Alan hosts. And my question is, it seems to be when people are talking about protesters and what is acceptable and not acceptable, both for protesters and for reactions to protesters, that people who split either left or right or live in a left or right venue tend to draw the line differently for what is acceptable on the protesters before they have any kind of risk. And that people who tend to be in like more like Florida and right wing kind of brain space tend to think of like the moment that you go from just holding a sign and shouting on the curb and you start like walking into the roadway, at that point you have started risking yourself in some way, shape, or form, whether it's arrest or bodily harm or whatever the case may be. Whereas people who are more from the other end of the country in California tend to view standing in the roadway and making your point and blocking traffic or whatever the case may be to be something that should be without any kind of risk beyond potentially arrest or being moved out of the street. And so I'm curious where you guys draw the line and whether there should be some kind of a line that the populace of the United States actually agrees on.
Yeah, Mitchell, brilliant, brilliant. Kristin.
Should there be a line? I think it's common sense and decency there. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with your premise that it's just, right wing in Florida and then some in California. I think Gallup had a poll this week that showed almost a majority or half of the country identifies independents. It's only 27% identifies Republicans, 27% as Democrats. Clearly there's something, and it's been growing for the last 15 years since 2011 when it first hit 40. So more and more Americans are kind of seeing that, we let the silent or the very loud minority take up all of our oxygen. And so I think people should be able to protest. I think all of that is absolutely fine. But most of the country, they're going to go home. They're going to make dinner for their family. And they're going to turn on the news and they're going to say, I can't believe that person's out in the street. Now, I do think that, every situation is different. I can't say it's 4 feet here and 2 feet there. And that's where you draw the line. I think protesters understand that once you start committing violence and a crime, then that's not protesting anymore. Now you're committing a crime. I think that law enforcement understands that they need to allow people to peacefully protest. In the age that we're in right now, two things could be true. Someone could be in the wrong place. They should not have been there. They should not have, been antagonizing or being disrespectful, but they also probably shouldn't have been killed either. So the two things can be true at the same time. And that's what our country's grappling with because we want to be so black and white on this. And what is your line and what is the definition? It's, when you start being violent, when you start committing crimes, that's when you are no longer protesting. You're committing a crime. And when you use violence to respond to it in a way, then it's, as we've seen in the past and just in our history. So to your answer, I wish there was a black and white answer that I could say, this is the line. I think our media and the news coverage of everything wants us to believe that there is, but just like how we watched so many videos and it was like watching that video from 2000 whenever, where is it a black or blue dress, like everyone saw what they wanted to see. That's just what we're in. And so my concern is that everyone's always going to see a different line even though we're all looking at the same street. And I don't know the answer to that other than hopefully common sense and decency will prevail ultimately.
Agree. Loved everything he said. The dress was blue, by the way. I don't know how anyone saw it any different color. Steven, thoughts on both what Mitchell and Kristin said?
Yeah, I think it was really well said what Kristin just shared. I think even though the American public can come to a consensus on violence being that line, that we want to practice nonviolent protest, I think as our politics becomes more toxically divided, I think you're going to see more and more of an interest and justification for violence. And I think if you look at towards the end of Dr. King's career, one of the reasons why his popularity in America was going down is that he was still steadfast in believing in the principles of nonviolence, and other younger, more aggressive activists were saying, well, you're soft and we're going to actually use violence here. And so I think we're in a similar moment right now where where not just being more aggressive, but potentially increasingly violence is seen as strength. Now, I personally believe it's the opposite. I think violence is one of the forms of weakness in political expression. But you're going to see that debate play out over the next few years.
Yeah. Mitchell, thank you. Cozy Earth, one of our favorite sponsors. Right now, 20% off everything on the site. Someone asked me today, which pants should they buy? They're all great. Buy the ones that look nicest to you. They're all incredibly comfortable, incredibly versatile. But there's more than pants on the Cozy Earth site, of course. 20% off everything on the site to start your new year off right. Give your home the luxury it deserves. Make home the best part of life. HosieEarth.com. Promo code two-way gets you 20% off everything on the site. Post-purchase survey. Tell them you heard about Cozy Earth from me, whether it's the Baja bedding set or the Bubble Cuddle blanket, any of the pants, and of course, all the towels. The towels are incredible, and you won't find a better deal on just a plus plush, a plush. There you go, set of towels. So right now, CozyEarth.com, promo code two-way. Start your new year off right. Again, give your home the luxury it deserves. Use the promo code two-way for 20% off everything on the site.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and two-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.